Jay Alvarez vibes. And what does any single bored girl do during a pandemic? She downloads Tinder. Of course, you know, this guy is actually just a nice guy and I'm like painting him out to be some asshole. I'm like, holy shit, he blocked me. Hey guys, I'm Lo, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Fella Friday video. So for those of you who don't know, Fella Friday is the series on my channel where I talk about a different kind of fella or boy that I've encountered in my dating life. So let's jump right into it. Today's Fella Friday is about the blocker. So I thought this was kind of an interesting story because it spans like multiple years. So yeah, let's jump into it. So for this we have to jump all the way back to spring of 2018. I was in a sorority and I had a really big like group of girlfriends from there, and one of those friends was having a house party, and it was like kind of one of those like hoes and gigolos like themed, like one of those parties that you have in college. So it was at her like student accommodation building, so it was like from her whole floor. She had like 13 roommates. So yeah, so it was gonna be super fun and we decided to go. I wore like my slutty outfit. I wore my high school uniform and like thigh-high socks and just like this blouse tied up, you know, all those like really cheesy college dream parties. Kind of misogynistic, but whatever. It was like hoes and gigolos. So I was looking like a hoe. And I went to the party and it was super fun. It was like me and some of my close friends and, you know, we were just dancing, drinking, having a good time. Pre-corona, miss those times. Never thought I would say I would miss those high school house parties. Or I mean college house parties. But I do. And I saw this guy and right away I was super attracted to him. I was like, oh my god, like he is so cute. He gave me like Jay Alvarez vibes. I'll insert a picture of Jay Alvarez if you guys don't know who I'm talking about. The total surfer boy, like long shoulder length, like blonde curly hair. Definitely not my usual type. Like I would say I wouldn't usually go for that, but I don't know. There was just like a vibe that I thought he was super attractive. So basically a friend of mine, she was being like the greatest wing woman ever. She walks over to him and is like, hey, like because it was her party, she's like, hey, like, oh, do I know you? He's like, yeah, no, I live in a building a couple floors down. And she's like talking to him, she's like, oh, you should meet my friend Lois, like I think you guys would get along. So thank you to her this night, or I guess not thank you to her because the story gets kind of bad. But yeah, so me and this guy, we meet and we immediately hit it off. We're like talking, we go to the kitchen to grab a drink, and you know how these college parties go, like we're immediately just like making out. And I was like, wow, like I really like him. But I had an exam like the next week, so I knew when I went to the party, I was like, I'll come to the party, but I'm only gonna stay until 2 a.m. so that I can like go to bed early-ish and study the next day. So we have some drinks, we're like making out, and he's like, yeah, like come back to my room. And I'm like, no, like I'm going home. I have to go to study tomorrow. And he was like very artsy. He was in like film school. He's like, oh, come on, like studying's not that important. I'm like, I'm a med student, like you don't understand, I need to study. So yeah, so we might not have been a match from the start, but yeah, he was trying to get me to go home with him. I didn't. I ended up leaving at 2 a.m. Way to go, me. Didn't even end up passing the exam, but that was for other reasons. But anyway, so we exchanged numbers, and while I was like in the car home, he, you know, was like texting me like, oh, come back, like, oh, this and this. And I was like, oh, maybe we're gonna hang out, you know. So I think the next day I texted him like, hey, it was really fun meeting you last night. Like, oh, if you ever want to like grab a drink or whatever, or like pick up where we left off, wink wink, we could do that. And he just never replied, which is fine, like, you know, whatever. It was just a party, it was one night. Didn't think about it twice, like did not really think about this guy, whatever. It was just my one night with this surfer boy, Jay Alvarez type. So a couple of years pass and it is now 2020. We're living in COVID pandemic life, and what does any single bored girl do during a pandemic? She downloads Tinder. So I am no exception. I downloaded Tinder again in like March or April because I had broken up with someone and I wanted to be on Tinder again and just see what was out there, and not even to like meet up because I definitely take COVID seriously and like took it really seriously at the beginning, but you know, just to like have some fun and talk to some people. You're bored, okay? So I download and I see this guy, I'm gonna call him Andy. So I see this guy Andy and I'm like, oh, like he kind of looks familiar, but again, this was like 2 years ago, but he has like this surfer boy like exterior, like blonde curly hair. I see something Film Academy and I'm like, holy shit, that guy that I hooked up with at that party that one time, his name was also Andy. Could it be the same guy? But again, I was drunk. I didn't have like this guy's number anymore, so I didn't have like a profile picture on WhatsApp. Didn't know his last name, so I had no idea if it was the same guy. But something in me was like, this kind of seems like it's the same guy. And his location was like at the same part of Amsterdam. It was in the north area of Amsterdam, like the same part of Amsterdam where that party was. So I was like, is it a coincidence, or is this the same dude? So what I do is I'm like, I'm gonna swipe right, like he's cute, like whatever, like, you know, who we'll see. So we start talking and I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna ask him. So I'm like, hey, this is so random, but were you at this like Hoes and Gigolos party like 2 years ago? I think we might have made out at this party. He was like, wait, holy shit, yeah, that's my building, and yeah, I was at that party. You were wearing like a really short skirt, like thigh highs. I was like, yeah, that's me. So I sent him a picture from that night because I had like pictures of me at the party. So and he's like, yeah, holy shit, like we made out, like blah, blah, blah. So it was super funny, and like we actually got along really well. We were just talking about like, I don't know, like COVID and just our lives, and he was finishing up at the film academy, and it was just really fun like that we matched. So I think we go like a couple weeks talking on and off, like we're definitely not talking every day, but you know, just talking here and there, which was nice. And then he was like, yeah, let's like hang out on Friday. So I was like, okay, that's cool, like no worries, let's do that. So I think after he said that, I said like, yeah, sounds good, like what time, where, and he just never replied. So I was like, okay, that's kind of weird, like but I'm very much like, if a guy doesn't show interest anymore, I'm not gonna be the girl who's gonna come banging on your door and gonna keep like pursuing you, unless I like really like you. But this guy, like, he was a fun guy, but it definitely wasn't like, oh, I'm already in love with you. So Friday rolls around, I hadn't heard anything from him. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna text you. So whatever, weekend rolls around, I was like, ugh, boys, you know, because the COVID restrictions had like eased up, cafes were open again, and we were gonna go like sit by the water and like just grab some drinks and see each other. So I think on like Tuesday, I suddenly get a text from him like, hey, my phone was broken. Pretty sad, like you didn't text me because I lost all my numbers. Or no, he messaged me on Instagram and he was like, hey, my phone was broken this weekend. Sad you didn't text me because I lost all my numbers. So I felt super bad. Obviously I was like, oh shit, like I didn't text him because I was like, I had too much pride, and this guy was probably like waiting for me to answer if we were gonna do something Friday. So I felt bad. I was like, oh shit, like of course, you know, this guy is actually just a nice guy and I'm like painting him out to be some asshole. I was about to find out differently. Bum bum bum. I like dramatic music here. But yeah, so we start talking again, and we're talking like a little bit on Instagram as well, like kind of sending each other a little bit of like selfies back and forth. I don't know. And then we decide to make plans for like end of next week or something. So we're just like decided to make new plans, and we had like a good conversation. I go to bed, don't really think about it the next day, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like text him tomorrow just to like finalize those plans. So I go to my phone the next day to like text him, and I see on WhatsApp that like the profile picture is gone, and I can't see when he was online for the last time. So I was like, wait, this is so weird. I'm like, holy shit, he blocked me. So I was like, that's so weird, like we were gonna hang out again, like no reason, he just blocked me. So then I go like on Instagram, can't find his Instagram. He blocked me on Instagram as well. It's like, what the fuck, that's so weird. Like we just had a good conversation last night, like we were just talking, and we like said we were gonna hang out again. He just randomly blocked me. So I have a second Instagram account, so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna message him off, and it has my like real name as well. I just have 2 Instagrams, and I was like, you know what, it's kind of like a finsta. I was like, oh, I'm gonna just text him from that other Instagram account. He's gonna know it's me, and I'm just gonna say like, yo dude, like if you're not interested, you can just tell me, you don't have to block me. So I was literally like, hey Andy, like look, if you're not interested in me, you can just tell me, you don't have to block me on WhatsApp and Instagram. And he blocked my second account as well, and I was like I don't understand. A, it's so childish. This is like middle school behavior, like, or even in high school, like guys would do that. You'd like kiss and they'd block you after. But come on, like we are adults. We're like 22 years old. Like seriously? And to this day, I have no idea why he blocked me. I kind of think because he started following me on Instagram. We talked a little bit on Instagram, and I think like the next day he blocked me. I think he might have seen my Insta and like seen that I did YouTube, which again, I don't take YouTube that seriously. For me, it's like a hobby and it's kind of a joke. So I don't really know if he thought I was like some crazy ass vlogger girl, but that's why he blocked me. It was just so strange. I was like, look, you can just tell me if you're not interested. And like, but something made him like change his mind, because we'd made plans, we obviously like hooked up before, and suddenly he was like not interested. So yeah, definitely weird. I don't really know why or what or how, but that's what happened. I really don't have advice for this. It actually kind of sucks, because I just like had a little bit of a dating rut like during quarantine, after quarantine, and I felt like pretty bad. I was like, why would you just block me, you know, like what's wrong with me? And then I was like, girl, you're a bad bitch, you don't need this. But yeah, it was just weird. I don't know if you guys have been in a situation like this where a guy just randomly blocks you with like no reason. Like I've heard it from friends if they've like had sex with a guy and then the next day they block them, which obviously is also not okay, but then there's almost like, okay, he just really isn't interested to like hang out again and he wants to make that clear, which again, just tell somebody, but whatever. But this was just such a weird like vibe. He could have just also just been like, hey, like, sorry I'm busy, or hey, like, I can't, or hey, I'm not interested. Like obviously that hurts as well, but then at least I know what I'm like up to. Or just like stop replying to my text. But blocking is like such an intense action. I'm like, you must have really seen something you didn't like. I don't know. I thought this was kind of an interesting story, because I found this guy after like 2 years and then nothing ever happened because he blocked me. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. There's definitely more Fella Fridays coming. I still have so many stories from the past. As you guys know, I'm a serial dater. And I also think I'm gonna have some new stories, because I've been on my dating apps in London and there's definitely some cute guys out there. So we'll see if we got some new stories coming up. All right, follow for more, guys. Leave a like, subscribe, comment what you thought, and I will see you guys again Tuesdays and Fridays for new videos. Bye!